Ghana, your beloved country, is free forever. From now on, there is a new African in the world. That new African is ready to fight his own battle and show that after all, the black man is capable of managing his own affairs.
A year after independence, on July 16, 1958, after a brief conversation with the ground control team, the runway was cleared and a Boeing 377 Stratocruiser aircraft was prepared to take off from the Accra Kotoka International Airport, flying over the Atlantic Ocean to Heathrow Airport, London, on a 12-hour journey with a stop in Lagos, Nigeria for refueling. The aircraft was configured in a two-class layout with 55 passenger seats, 16 first class and 39 tourist class. This was its first flight, adorned with the red, green and yellow colors of the Ghanaian flag and emblazoned with the black star of Ghana. This was the Ghana Airways embarking on its first inaugural flight. The Boeing 377 proudly represented a newly independent nation. This historic flight marked the birth of Ghana Airways, an airline that would become a source of national pride for Ghanaians. But then, of late, we no longer see the Ghana Airways grace the sky. The airline once had ambitious plans to fly to Tokyo and Sydney. What happened to the Ghana Airways? Where did it all go wrong for them? Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Thank you. Ghana Airways was founded on 4 July in 1958 by the then government of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, with a start capital of 400,000 euros, with the government holding a 60% stake and British Overseas Airways Corporation holding the remainder, a 40%. Actually, when the company was founded, a 7-year agreement between the airline and British Overseas Airways Corporation was signed, which saw Boak second in Accra and Ghanaian personnel being trained in order for them to take over management and operations of the airline. A Boeing 377 Stratocruiser was used for the first flight between Accra and London on July 16, 1958. By the end of 1959, the Stratocruiser was retired and replaced by the Bristol Britannia 102s, and a new route to Conakry, Guinea was introduced. In 1960, Ghana Airways ordered 3 Viscount.
The people of the Gold Coast had had their own assembly under the British, but not independence. In 1957, they became the first black Africans to get complete freedom.
Despite having led Ghana to independence from the Britain, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was accused of being too aligned with the West. To prove his accusers wrong, he ordered 6 Ilyushin IL-18s from the Soviet Union, which is now Russia. When the first 2 aircraft arrived, they were initially crewed and maintained by the Soviet personnel, while the Ghanaians were trained up. In 1960, the Soviets also sold to Ghana Airways a single Antonov AN-12. The most interesting thing is, Ghana Airways became the first West African airline to fly to Lebanon in January 1961. The company decided to expand its fleet of aircraft by placing an order for 2 Boeing 707-420s and England's Viscount for 3 VC-10s. Most importantly, because of the large number of Lebanese people living in Ghana and the neighboring countries, Ghana Airways became the first West African airline to fly to Beirut in 1961. In January 1961, the Nkrumah administration desired minimal foreign influence in Ghana affairs and saw Ghana Airways as a prime symbol of Ghana's statehood. On 14 February 1961, the Ghanaian government reached an agreement with Boak to buy out their 40% share in the airline. While co-share with Boak remained, by 1963, they were more or less non-existent. That same year, Ghana Airways joined the International Air Transport Association, IATA, becoming its 93rd member. In September 1963, the airline retired 4 of the 8 IL-18s bought from the Soviet Union after determining there were surplus of requirement. The following month, Ghana Airways signed a wet lease with Swiss Air to operate Conv Air 990 jetliners on the Accra to London route. In 1964, the airline's Viscount were sold and cooperation with Nigeria Airways began. In 1966, President Nkrumah was overthrown in the coup d'etat by the National Liberation Council.
After Cairo, Nkrumah stopped off in New Delhi to visit India's Prime Minister Mrs. Gandhi. They discussed his projected peace mission to North Vietnam. But Nkrumah never got as far as Hanoi. It was on arrival in Peking that Chinese leaders broke the news to Nkrumah of his downfall. Mystery surrounded his immediate plans. Conflicting reports said he was going back to Accra, that he was going to Cairo, that he'd gone to Addis Ababa to appeal to the current Conference of African States. In the end, he flew to Moscow on the way to Guinea. But even the Russians were expected to recognize the new regime.
Led by the likes of Army officer E.K. Kotoka, under their supervision, the country's economy was privatized, and the new government promised to get rid of Ghana Airways' loss-making route. This was its first sign of collapse. The company had begun making losses, but under what circumstances? The remaining Soviet aircraft, the Antonov AN-12, and the 4 IL-18s were retired, with the Nigerian Airways Fokker 727s used for domestic flights. 1975 saw the arrival of Ghana Airways' first McDonnell Douglas DC-9, and a year later an order was placed for a McDonnell Douglas DC-10. In 2002, Ghana Airways was deep in debt and had its DC-10 seized by a creditor at Heathrow Airport in London. The British creditor, however, released the DC-10's aircraft after receiving a debt payment of $1 million. But how and why was the country's airline in so much debt of $160 million or even more? September 2002, the imminent collapse of Ghana Airways was almost an open secret. After the government of Ghana announced that they had entered into an agreement with the South African's Nationwide airline, adding that Ghana Airways would now be renamed Ghana Nationwide International Airways.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard GIA flight Accra, London. Ghana International Airlines. Punctuality, great service, warmth and friendliness, above all, unbeatable fares and generous baggage allowance. Ghana International Airlines, London, Accra, every day.
While the agreement in relationship with the South African firm did not last for even a year, the government said it had withdrawn from the deal and was now involved with another company named British Mainland. Under this new deal, Fly Ghana Limited was named as the main shareholder of the government. It was expected to operate for a short period under a separate entity to the Ghana Airways. Finally, in 2004, the inevitable occurred after the new Ghana Airways was discovered to have been operating under the pretext of an unsafe aircraft out of date Lancers. This resulted in the United States Department of Transportation banning the airline, thereby forcing it to cancel its New York and Baltimore flight. The ban imposed on Ghana Airways, however, led its entire board being fired by the government of Ghana, with the state assuming full control of the airline, which was still left with more outstanding debt and operational costs. But how did the Ghana Airways find itself in so much debt? The airline industry is a service industry that uses the income it generates to pay off its debt. This puts tremendous levels of strain on airline companies as they are constantly under pressure to generate business and therefore income to continuously pay off their debt. Airline companies need to purchase planes, outfit these planes, pay for fuels, air hangars, flight attendants, and a whole lot. Pardon me, and with a greedy type of mentality, I'm sure definitely there will be a bit of corruption and mismanagement somewhere in their board of directors and management of the company. As part of effort to revamp the airline, Ethiopian Airlines had offered to keep Ghana Airways afloat, but proposed a deal that would see the government of Ghana get a 25% stake in the airline. In 2004, after ignoring multiple warnings related to its aircraft safety, the United States banned Ghana Airways. Since its entire board was already sacked, with the government taking over operations, unable to pay its debts and the government refusal to put in more money. Ghana Airways, the airline that once gave Ghanaians hope and a sense of pride, ceased operations in June 2005. Eventually, the McDonnell Douglas DC-10 was sold and used for a restaurant.